Okay, here we are. You want to check on your phone just to make sure we're live?
Yeah.
Good evening, everybody. Go ahead and let us know if you can see us. We're going to wait just a minute. Make sure Gene's supposed to be checking. He's playing a game.
I am checking.
Clash of Clans.
Wow.
There we are.
We are live. It is happening. We are live. All right. So we're going to give everybody a few minutes to log on. Seth, will you mind getting me some coffee?
There's coffee.
Huh?
There's coffee. Oh, there's coffee.
Yeah, there's coffee. Of course there's coffee. It's Thursday night. Or it's a night that ends in Y. Like Monday, Tuesday. Good evening. If you're in the chat, just let us know. Say hello. Hunter. Nice. Thank you so much for joining. Relic Reaper Dawn. Good to see you. Thank you very much for being here. Sweet. Thanks, Seth.
You've made it imprint.
I know. Yeah, it happens. All right, so we'll go ahead and get started.
Bill.
What?
Bill.
Yes, Papa Rouse. Good to see you. Hello. So Gene was worried that if people didn't know us, then they would think that the title at the bottom of the screen, wow, a bunch of people all of a sudden, would be a problem for people to see. But, you know, it's not a typo. This is really Gene, and Seth is on his way. He's getting some coffee. So Shane, good to see you.
Oops.
Marty, good to see you. Thank you guys so much for being here. Really appreciate it. We'll get started like always with a quick prayer and then get into what we have for tonight, okay? Father, we bow before you tonight. Lord, I thank you so much for this day. Thank you for this opportunity. And thank you for this hobby of metal detecting. Be with us tonight as we share, as we laugh. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen. All right. Let's see here. So we have basically a few things that we would like to discuss, talk about tonight. Gene's been taking a trip down memory lane. As you guys know, he's a senior in high school. What are you doing on Monday? Why don't you tell everybody so we can all be mad at you as I am?
Well, on Sunday, you don't have to be so mad because on Sunday I have to get up at like 4.
Yeah,
Still, the flight, I leave from here at
that doesn't
6.
make it any better.
I leave from here at 8. And then on Monday, I go on a cruise for the senior trip. And we're starting in Miami. And I think we go up to the Everglades for a day. And then we go down to Grand Cayman. And then to Jamaica. And then back to Miami. And that's basically a whole week. And then we come back. So that's what my week's going to look like this week.
We want to say thank you to Shane for giving us this chance. He's unable to be here tonight. He's, like he said, he's going to be in and out. Joe Dirt Treasure, good to see you. Thank you so much. So yeah, Gene is leaving on Sunday, and then Monday he'll be going on a cruise.
Yay.
I mean, my senior trip, I don't know about anybody else, or if you were able to go on a senior trip or not. My senior trip, we went to Gatlinburg, Tennessee. Awesome place, I love it, but
it's not Jamaica.
It wasn't a cruise in the Caribbean. I promise you that. So anyway, he won't be here, so I'll have to be treasure hunting with Seth and Cole and Levi. We'll find lots, I'm sure. Well, actually, most of us, except for Levi, went out this last weekend, and that video is going to be out in a couple of weeks. So found some really good stuff. We're going to show you a little bit of it tonight. So what we have for tonight is, I'm going to put the banner up here. If you have, yes, there we go, right? Mm-hmm. So if you have something that you would like to share with everybody, we have this email. I've got my phone over here. We'll pull up the email. Again, we're kind of novice at this, but last time we were able to put everybody's finds on the screen so everybody could see instead of having to show the camera, on my phone, all that good stuff. We'll be able to share the screen. So Relic Reaper Don says senior trip was a great adventure. That's good. Wow. Marty, across state lines. Yeah, Don, jealous. Yes, me too. And enjoy. You're right. Absolutely. So if you have something you would like to share with us, what we're asking is for your best find so far this year. We're 2 months in. Now, 2 months into the year this year, and we have found, was it four rings, right, guys?
Mhm.
Last year we found 136 rings. And this year so far we've only found 4. Pat, good to see you. Thank you so much for being
The
here.
real reason for that is we've been extremely busy,
Yeah.
so we haven't been able to get out and detect. We've been to the beach maybe 5 times
Yeah.
in the year, so that's really the main reason.
And really only for an hour at a time.
Yeah.
Like we haven't had a bunch. We went to the beach this afternoon, but it was just for an hour, so I wasn't able really to find too much. So if you have something you would like to share with us, send it to that email and we'll share the screen. We've got some things that we're going to show you what we have found so far this year. Again, not a whole lot, but what we have found has been some pretty good stuff. So we want to share that with you. And one of these was in a video, not this past Monday, but the Monday before. So you can actually go see the video where we dug this up. And the other 3, one's going to be on a video, not this next Monday, but the Monday after. And the other 2, the rings, no video for those. We haven't really done much videoing this year yet so far. The Bud Files, hello, how are you guys? Just making sure I get everybody. Thank you so much for being here, guys. We really appreciate it. We want to, we love sharing our finds with you guys. We love hanging out with you guys. Rob, good to see you. Good evening.
You saw you cropped us out of your picture. What was that?
Yeah, Rob, what's up with that? No, I'm just kidding. Made coffee and sugar-free cookies. I have coffee, no sugar-free cookies. Seth was commenting how my coffee cup is so worn that I've worn where my thumb goes, where I normally put my thumb. This is how I hold my coffee cup, right here, just like this. And then that's where my thumb goes, and it's actually worn slick. So interesting. So yeah, let's see here. Make sure nobody said anything. Will you just kind of keep an eye on this for me?
It says and peanut butter.
And peanut butter what?
Build us to the
Sugar.
sugar.
Oh yeah. Yes, peanut butter is my favorite in any form. I like it in a Reese. I like it just in a spoon. I like it on a sandwich. I like it in cookies. I love peanut butter. I could eat peanut butter all the time. So I guess I'll go first. My first ring, actually my very first ring of the year, rang up as a quarter. And this is it. It is the best ring I have found this year. I've only found 2, but this is the best one. And it is silver with a little bit of gold right there. Those bands are gold as well. So found this a couple weeks ago, and it is a pretty good size ring. It actually fits. If you've never been to St. Croix, then this is called a Crucian hook. We find these in our videos from time to time, and it is very unique to the island. So if you see somebody that has a ring or a bracelet that has that like horseshoe looking thing on there, that hook, then they probably know about St. Croix or know someone who's been to St. Croix. So, and then my favorite coin of the year is from, like I said, not past Monday, but the one before, is my 1834 1.5 pence that I found. It is a King William 1.5 pence, which is really cool. It's a hold coin. It's my first hold silver. If you have not seen that video, you need to go watch that video. It is awesome. Marty, still in frozen tundra, probably no detecting for at least another month. Yes,
Wow.
I understand.
Wow.
I understand. I am so sorry. We sometimes see videos of people that have white fluffy stuff all around them, and I don't understand what that is. I do. I grew up in Michigan, so I know it's snow, but it's been so long since I've had to deal with snow. Mandy, good to see you. Thank you so much for being here. If I miss anybody, I'm really sorry. I'm trying to keep up with the chat and see when people are coming in. Yeah, Pat, I mean, that coin, listen, it is so incredibly small. I can't tell you how tiny it is. It took me a good 10 minutes to find it after I had it out of the hole. I was pinpointing forever to try to find it and actually knocked it back into the hole before I found it. So,
And it's actually a coin made for the British islands that they owned in 1834. So I think it was Jamaica, Cayman Islands, and a few others, Bahamas maybe,
Yep.
that they had owned at that time and made that coin for there. So it wasn't even made for here. Pretty cool though.
Rob. And Jason, good to see you. BC Treasure Trails. Now, I don't know if anybody else is having this. Jason, I don't know if it is with you, but your font for your name, your channel name, looks different to me. And I knew that Drum and Detect Joel, his changed as well. It looks a little different. And when I try to tag him in conversation, it doesn't allow me to tag him. I don't know why that is. So I'm wondering the same thing for you, if it does or not.
He says I'm undercover now.
Undercover now. Okay. All right. Mandy, it is really cool to learn the history. Yeah, this coin is really cool. And Gene has two really good finds that he's going to share with us next. Let me check the email while you're doing that.
So the first thing is a ring right here.
I got a ring.
Got a ring. And it is silver. It says 925 on the inside. You could probably see it if you look close. And it has two copper smaller rings on the inside and then one silver part that has little turquoise stones in it.
So are you counting that as 4 rings?
No, I'll just count it as one.
Just as one.
But
Okay.
the cool thing about it is it spins on your finger. It's like a fidget ring. It's pretty cool. It spins around. And then the other thing I have is a coin. And this has not been in a video yet. It will be. And this is the slickest coin
I doubt
I've ever seen.
You're going to be able to see anything on this. Can you see it in there? Yes,
The
kind
top
of.
of the crown right there, it has a large C in cursive and then a 7.
Let us know if you can see anything on that. It has a, like you said, a crown at the very top, a letter C, and the number 7
It's
inside the
extremely
C.
slick.
Dana, good to see you. She says she loves spinner rings.
So that's my coin. What is it? 1770s and 80s.
Mandy, yes, a ring for people with ADD. Yes.
1770s and 80s.
Best we could tell, it was a 6
shilling.
shilling from 17. Oh, was it 68?
I think it was 78 to 80.
78 to 80 something.
Yeah.
I can't remember. We have a book for the coins for the island, so helps us to identify, and we think that is the one that it is. Really cool find, but I've never seen a coin worn that much. I mean, it is so razor thin. Really, really cool. We found it in a place. You want to tell them where?
Yeah.
Like-
And what do you mean where? Like
Like,
at the place
we couldn't-
specifically?
We couldn't.
Yeah.
We couldn't detect there before.
So it was at our farm that we go to, and there's a few big fields with the cows that we like to go in whenever the cows aren't there. And right across from the field, there's these woods, and we could never detect there because there's all these trees, and it makes it more difficult. So we come back this past time, and we see they've cleared maybe like a 10-foot strip that goes along the fence line on the other side. And we were like, yeah, let's go try it. So I tried it by myself for a while. And
you actually
found-
saw something laying in there when we were in
Yeah.
the other field, didn't you?
There's a gallon jug.
Yeah.
Looks to be like 50s, 40s. Really cool. And so I went in there and detected. I found 2 old coins, a button, a bunch of relics. It was really great. That just had a little strip. It's pretty awesome. I'll be going back there for sure.
Couldn't find it, Seth? All right.
I had it in a container.
Oh, okay. Seth found some really cool Cheney while we were there. Also, he was going to show you some of his stuff that he's found, but he wasn't able to locate it. So, you want to tell them about, you got any other finds that you can think of that you can tell them about?
My first ring
While I
for
try
the
to pull
year.
up this email.
My first ring for the year was a silver ring we found at one of our newer permissions, and we think it might be old, like very old, like 1800s possibly. And yeah, it's just a simple silver ring, just a normal ring.
That'll actually be this week's video, right?
Yes, that would be this week's video, Mondays.
Nice. Okay.
Whoa.
So this is from Don.
Present.
Let's see if we can remember how to do this. Give me just a minute, okay?
Share screen.
Share screen.
That's one right there.
This one right here. Okay. This is from Don Garza, the Relic Reaper. So these are his best finds for this year so far. Again, just 2 months in. So let's take a look and see what Don has for us. Can we see that on there? Oh, yeah. We got it. So, Don, you may need to share with us exactly what this is.
Yeah,
if you can, you should be able to see that, hopefully, everybody.
4th ring of the year this weekend on a curb strip. That's cool. We've never
Rob,
went
good
curb
job.
stripping. There aren't many here. So, the island is pretty different.
There are a few, but be interesting. So, Don, if you want to share with us what this is, we would appreciate that. I think we can get to the next one from this screen here. The next one. Pocket knife.
Pocket knife. That's what it is.
Yep, that helps it. That's a pocket
so
knife.
Cool.
That is so awesome right there. Yeah.
Oh man. It's the
Great
whole
find.
thing.
You have any idea about the age of this, Don? Has your initial too. How about that?
1946 Girl Scout pocket knife. That is so cool.
That is really cool.
It's pretty old. Older than me.
Just for the record, older than me also. Okay.
It's
I know.
also older than me.
I know. Yeah. Thanks, Seth. I know he likes to try to pretend that I'm like ancient or something, but I'm not that old. So yeah, if you have anything you would like to share with us or with anybody, then send it to that email at the bottom there, G War Eagle. So if you want to know about my email address, GW is my initials, Gene Wooten, and War Eagle is what an Auburn fan would say to another Auburn fan. It's kind of like the battle cry for Auburn fans, and I'm a fan of the University of Auburn. So, and then STX is St. Croix. So G War Eagle St. Croix is kind of what that stands for.
Pretty elaborate.
So, yeah. Kind of has a little bit of everything in there for me. So remove, we'll put that.
Don, drop that back in 48
Oh, Jason.
buying cookies.
Jason.
That was funny.
You always keep us on our toes, man. All right. Let's see if we've got anybody else so far. Refresh. All right. So if you've got anything that you would like to share, you can do that. And I am going to... invite. That's right. If anybody wants to join us, by all means, take that chance now. You can jump in here and talk with us. Share something with us. If you want to show it yourself, you can do that. Tell a story about one of your finds so far this year. Anything like that you would like to do, we would love it. We actually have one other permission that we've received, but we haven't actually we haven't dug there yet. We haven't officially gone back and made the second contact. So we talked to him kind of in passing, and he was like, absolutely, come dig anytime. And so before I left, he said, just make sure and come talk to me first. Okay, so we went back a couple times and we haven't been able to find him yet. But the plantation where this site is called,
has some awesome history.
It's called Mount Washington, and it's called Mount Washington because the people who owned it originally back in the 1700s were friends of George Washington's. So they have all kinds of possibilities there with that. So we are pumped about that. Can't
One of the
wait
things
to dig
I've been
there.
thinking about ever since Quarter Hoarders video is we could find a GW
Quarter
button.
hoarder.
We could find a GW button. If they're the friends of George Washington, what are the chances they were at his
Inauguration.
You know what I mean?
That'd be kind of cool. So
Just saying.
be looking forward to that. We're pretty pumped. Next week is our last one of the Dreams of Gold so far. We're going to, whenever we go back there to dig, we'll just keep calling those the Dreams of Gold. But this is going to be our 5th time there.
Yeah.
And every single time we have found silver. And this year, this week will be no exception. So we will also have silver dug up. Then, Marlon, good to see you. Yes. So if I don't have the banner up there, you'll see his name. Hold on just a second. Yeah, I got to take down that banner. There you go. This is Seth, everybody, in case you don't know.
Hey, Seth.
He's our second son, and
Not our.
probably the most quiet of our sons, as far as like, just trying to be in front of people. So, all right, got a couple new comments. Okay. So glad you guys are here. Thank you so much. Hope you enjoyed those finds and stories so far. If you have anything you would like to email to us, just send it to that email address. I'll put that banner back up in a moment. The other thing I wanted to ask you guys, if you could give people advice on either metal detecting or building their YouTube channel, what would your best advice be? What would you say, hey, this is going to be really beneficial to you. This is something I had to learn the hard way. So let us know what that would be. Yeah, he said he didn't want to guess. And Marty says going to do his first speed hunt.
Seated.
Oh, sorry, it went by. It flipped just so that. Seeded hunt in May. All places, my local scout camp. I might as well show that one, right? Yeah, there you go. Back in the 70s. KG and Ringy will be in attendance. That's awesome, Marty. Good job. Congratulations. I've never actually been to a seeded hunt, technically. My dad had a seeded hunt for us while we were in Pensacola last. He went and buried a bunch of old pennies and dimes and silver dollars and things like that in the yard, which I wasn't opposed to digging up. But yeah, that's the only actual seeded hunt I've been to. So pretty interesting. Ken, good evening, sir. Good to see you.
Yep.
All right, we're caught up. So if anybody has any anything to show that you want to show it to everybody, we'll show it for you. You can join and show it yourself. Here is the link again, just in case.
Oh. Is that someone?
And we are going to bring up somebody right now. So without further ado, here comes Rob. Good evening, Rob.
Hi, guys.
How's it going, bud?
As I'm logging on, hold on.
I'm sorry?
I had to turn off the other page. I was sitting there listening as I was trying to log on, and you're like, well, I've never done a seeded hunt. And I'm like, yes, you did. You did in that yard in Pensacola with Charlie's permission.
That wasn't a seeded hunt, was it?
He kept throwing the coins out for you.
Oh, yeah. That man, you're right. I forgot about him. So, Rob, yeah, I totally forgot about that. So, just in case I didn't tell anybody before, we went and Charlie took us to a place, and there was I guess the dad of the homeowner was there, and he kept talking to us.
Very older gentleman.
Yeah, older gentleman, I'm sure, would sit around and tell fantastic stories. And he caught my attention, so I went over and talked to him. And he said, try over here by this tree, try over by the tree. And I was like, okay, and I go over there and I swing, and I can tell something's right on top of the ground. And he had thrown coins out for me to find, to see if I could actually find anything. So I thought that was pretty funny.
He tried doing that with me, but I was like, no, I'll go check over here. And I didn't realize that he wanted me to check that certain area because he was throwing coins. But I knew if I got talking to him, I'd never get hunting the whole day.
Yep, that's right. So hello, Olin, good to see you.
Hey, Olin.
The outdoors. Ram, Mark, good to see you.
So you were asking Gene if anybody found anything to send the pictures in. So instead of sending the pictures, I thought I would just come up and show it in person because it's a bucket lister for me, but it wasn't on my bucket list because I never thought I'd find one in Florida. And I'm sure you'll know what it is as soon as I show it.
Let me go ahead and spotlight you. I think I can do this, right? How do I do this, Gene? Right there, that one?
Yep, solo layout.
There you go. Yes. You would never expect to find that in Florida, right?
Yeah, it's a ball button from the mid 1800s.
Yep.
We found it on that 12-acre field that Dalton put us on that had the two 1800s houses on it.
That is awesome.
Yeah, it's my first one ever, and I never thought I'd find one. So this video probably be coming out in a week or 2 weeks.
That is awesome. and
So-
looks like the shank is just bent over, but it's still there.
Yeah, Ram. It's not a blowhole because it doesn't have the hole in the front. It's just got a dent, but it's just a regular civilian ball button. I've seen like the Hoover Boys and Quarter Hoarder and those kind of guys up north find them, but never thought I'd find one down here.
Yep.
Yeah.
I've seen a couple of them found, but never. Yeah. I mean,
Yeah, I'd never even seen one in person before that. Thank you, Olin.
that's awesome. And when did you found that? Just a couple weeks ago?
Saturday with Kimberly.
Nice.
Pat's digging partner, Kimberly Creamer.
Yeah.
She came over and because Pat's out of town on a family emergency, so she didn't have anybody to hunt with. So she said, "Hey, you going to be available this weekend?" I said, "Yeah, if you want to come over and spend the weekend with us, come over and spend the weekend with us." So she came over and spent Friday and Saturday night with us, and we did Clearwater Beach Friday night, and then we hunted in that field Dalton had all day Saturday, and then Sunday after the stream we met Troy down in South St. Pete, and took us a while, but we finally got a permission. We were doing some parks and curb strips, but we finally got a permission, and all three of us wound up eking out silver. And on just before dark, this is that fourth ring I said I just got. It's a Tiffany. It's a Tiffany 925, and it's only my third Tiffany ring I've ever found.
That's awesome.
It was like an inch and a half down in South St. Pete in a not real good neighborhood.
Was it a quarter signal?
No, it was a screaming 32, Gene, on the Knox. It
32.
just screamed.
Yep.
And I just flicked it out with the tip of the shovel, and it was right there. And I started doing our silver sign as wave of the hat, and I just started flopping the hat at Kimberly across the street, and she come running over. But it was a good hunt Saturday. All three of us got a silver coin. All three of us got Mercs. Kimberly got this old copper can lid, about the size of like a quart paint jar lid, but it was a copper lid on the underside. It had 7 patent numbers on it, all from the 1890s.
Wow.
It was the weirdest thing. It was just on the underside of the lid. It just went right down the row of 7. At the very end, it said patents pending. And I don't know if it was for some kind of paint or what it was from, but it was a pure copper lid. It was like 1892, 1893, 1894. And they do look uncomfortable, Jason. To me, they would look weird to
actually push through the hole in the shirt.
Yeah,
I agree. They're odd, like how
they are odd. That's the word I would use.
How they were ever, I guess, fashionable is kind of the thing. Fashion's a funny thing, though, I guess.
You know, I look back, somebody, I can't remember if it was Quarter Hoarder or the Hoover Boys, just found a knee buckle. And I just think that's such a weird thing, a knee buckle for like your knickers. I think that's just a weird.
Yep.
Yeah.
The one they found that I think it was this week's video, that one was wild looking. I couldn't believe that.
Did you see the rare GW button that Quarter Hoarder found?
Oh yes, we found it. We saw it.
So I don't know if you were here yet, but we have a permission at a plantation, and it's called Mount Washington Plantation, and it's named that because the original owner was friends with George Washington, and he named it after him. And so that was the first thing that Gene said. He was like, "We could find a GW button there."
I mean,
we haven't dug there yet, but
I mean, apparently the variety that Jason Quarter Hoarder found, apparently there's only like 6 of them known.
Yeah,
6.
Yeah.
I just can't believe that.
He took his time, and I don't know if they heated it or not, but it was kind of tacoed, but he was able to straighten it out without breaking it. And he says, "That's as much as I want to do it." And I found a copper buckle once that was completely tacoed up, and my neighbor took his torch out and slowly bent it out. And when we wound up bending it out, it turned out to be this big brass brooch, probably from the turn of the century. It was the frame. And then you could see in the middle that the crimps were bent into where there was a stone in the center, but it was like this.
You see that?
Hey, Rob, someone in a Lexus tried to race me in the Tesla. Oh, I didn't know you had a Tesla, Mark.
He said,
yeah, that's never going to work out for any other car. No, Mark's doing that because he knows I'm a huge Tesla fan and a huge Elon Musk fan. Production Teslas are the fastest 4-door production cars made.
Oh, they're wild. We've
So,
got
yeah, it's that Lexus wouldn't have had a chance, Mark.
We've
That
got-
would have been funny to watch, though.
Oh yeah, we've got a couple on island, and it's just so weird to hear them go by.
All you can hear is the tires.
Yeah, you just hear the road noise. That's it.
Do you see the Dodge, the Charger, the hot rod Dodge, the Charger and the Challenger they have? They're supposedly going electric either next year or the year after, and they're debating about putting the throttle noises with them to make it still sound like a hot rod.
Yep. I've actually seen a drag race with one, and it sounded just like it, but you can still tell it's digital sound. It's not the real engine sound.
Well, my sister was an executive at a Toyota dealership, and she had her take home car, and they had to put her car in a shop, and they wound up giving her an electric car for the day. And he's got the dual motor. Okay. Yeah. She said
so
she had trouble getting used to that quiet car, not being able to hear the car.
Go to there it is. So then this makes more sense. It was embarrassing for him, he says. Wow. That's amazing.
Hi, Bill.
Yep. Good to see you all. So glad everybody's here.
You know,
Looter 8, hello.
Metal
Hi,
Detector
Looter 8.
so many interactions with people, and that happens a lot with us on the beach. We have one beach where we go, and it's actually a resort, and so we go to the beach there, and there's a bunch of tourists, and of course they want to talk and everything. And normally, on a normal beach day, they come up to you, "Hey, you found anything?" No, not really.
Oh yeah.
A few coins, whatever. Well, this day when I found this ring, it's a fidget ring, silver. I found it kind of in the beginning of the day. And so every time somebody walk up to me and say, "Hey, have you found anything?" I'd be like, "Yes."
Actually, yes.
It's funny. I've been in parks and had people come up to me in local parks and say, "Have you found anything yet?" And I'm like, "Just a few coins." And there's been like 3 occasions where within 10 minutes of somebody asking me if I found anything, I find a silver ring.
Yep.
3 times that's happened to me where I find silver right after they ask me. But let me ask you this. What is your number when you're on the beach? What is the number one question you get asked?
The number one question that I get asked is, do you ever find anything with that?
Yep.
Yeah,
That's
all the
exactly
time.
what I say. Do you guys really ever find anything?
You
All
guys
the time.
And I'm like, all the time. That's exactly what I say, Gene Jr., all the time.
If I didn't find anything, I wouldn't be out here.
See,
Jason, this
they
is
don't-
hilarious.
Yeah, they don't think that through. If I came out here every day and found 3 cents, I wouldn't be doing this too long.
Did you read that comment from Jason? You got to know your history to get that one.
Yeah. If a Tesla gets stolen, is that called an Edison? Yeah. See, a lot of people don't realize that the AC power we use is actually the Tesla invention, not Edison. Edison came up with the light bulbs, but his direct current didn't work, so we use AC, which is actually Tesla's invention.
Yep.
And it's funny that they took that Nikola truck company took his first name and came up with the other company like Tesla. It's his first name, but yet that guy took all the shortcuts and just got convicted of fraud.
Yep.
Because when they showed that picture of that Nikola truck semi running doing across the road, they actually curved the camera because it was a downhill, and they used a truck or a front end loader to start pushing it, and it basically they rolled it down the road, and then they straightened the camera out to show that it was a level road. And then when he did show one that was actually under its own power, they just put a cab over either a GMC or International diesel truck. And yeah, Marty, that's another thing everybody says. Hey, if you find something good, I'll split it with you. Yep, I hear that all the time, Marty.
Or,
do too.
"Hey, I lost my gold doubloon right there."
Yep.
Happened to me today. Or another one is
Oh wow, Bill, that's good too, Bill. That's funny.
that's funny. There are lots of questions I get. One of the other ones is I was just thinking of it. What's the most expensive thing you've ever
Yeah.
found?
What's the best thing? Best
What's
thing
the
you've
best
ever
thing
found? Yeah, get that one all the time.
Yep.
But that's hey,
I just saw Bill's guy. And what do you tell him for the best
You know,
find?
I always say, do you mean historical or most valuable? And every single time they've always said most valuable. They don't care about the history. They just want to know, can you find something? And I said,
Worth money.
I found one ring and paid for all of our detectors.
See, it's funny because my my monetarily most valuable find is also one of my most historical finds, which is that that pure gold Freemasons medallion from 1906 with the guy's name etched on it that they gave him when he became Grand Master of the Lodge. The Lodge had that made for him when he became 33rd Master. So it's funny because if you go back 3 years and you watch the video with Dalton and I, we're not getting excited over it because we thought it was brass. So we just thought we found this cool brass Freemasons medallion. And then we were sitting at lunch, this little taco place, and I had my loop with me. And while we were waiting for our food to get there, I took the loop out. And on the back, it says 10K solid gold. And then in real tiny letters, it's got the jeweler that made it in New York City in 1906. And then we freaked out because it's the size of a $50. And then we showed it to the homeowner. We were doing a 1907 house, and we showed it to the homeowner. And she read the guy's name, and she said, "That's the guy that owned this house 70 years ago." She says, and she was in her 70s, and she said, "When I was a little girl, 8 or 9 years old, me and my friends came by, and he let us pick the oranges off the trees." And so we remembered him. And then DK from Adventures with Dirt that does the Sunday show, he featured it on his show. And then what he did was he took the guy's name. He belongs to the that genealogy webpage or whatever. Can't remember the name of it.
The 23andMe or
the other one, the original one.
Ancestry.
Yeah. Ancestry.
Yeah, Ancestry.com. So he actually put the guy's name in, and he traced him all the way back to England when he was a Mason in England. And the guy had been married, and his wife died. And then he met another woman here in the States, and she had died. And then her sister died, and he never had any kids. And there's no lineage at all with his last name. But the town we found it in, Zephyr Hills, which is on the other side of the county, that was a town pretty much founded by Masons for retired Masons. So it didn't surprise her that that was a Mason's medallion because she said 40, 50, 60 years ago, every person in this town was a Mason. So.
Gotcha. Marlon, I'm lost on your comment here, but I don't.
And sometimes I amaze myself, Gene.
Oh, thank you, Marlon. Okay, do you know what? Do you know what I was thinking? Marlon's comment. So I'll show it because I didn't know what it was. It's don't forget to smack the like for We Dig It. I thought it said don't forget to smack Delic from Nocta Macro. I was like, what is going on? What kind of a beef do we have with Nocta Macro? I don't know. Isn't that her name? Delic? Have I lost you, Rob?
No, I got it. I'm reading.
That's her name, isn't it? Delic. I know it's not spelled that way, but don't forget to smack the like. Yeah, you can do that. Sorry, guys. Yeah, exactly. Rob, that is crazy.
Oh man.
Let me get spotlight. Yeah. Sorry. Oh my goodness.
And then on the back, it says the Honorable. It says FNAM, which is Free and Accepted Masons, Tuckahoe, New York, to Worshipful Master Brother Samuel E. Benny, 1906. And then right here at the bottom, it says solid gold there. And then it says the name of the jeweler in New York City that made it. So
in 1906.
Yep. So his lodge, when he became the Master Mason of the lodge, his lodge had that made for. And it's funny because I tried finding this on the internet. And at the time, what I didn't realize was that each lodge made these individually. So there was no two alike of these. So
that is absolutely amazing.
Yeah, this will be as close as I ever come to a gold coin, probably.
I mean, probably anything that I have even close to that like is historical. I have a silver Miraculous Mother Mary medal, and it has World War II pilot wings at the top of it. So it was the mother of a pilot during World War II. It was her medal that she wore around her neck. And that was so cool to find that day. It was a quarter signal too. It was straight up a quarter signal, and dug it and found that. It's beautiful, but it's silver, which is still awesome to find. I'm not complaining at all.
Absolutely. No, anything
I can imagine. What kind
Because
of
see,
trip was
that covers two genres. It covers military and it covers religious. So,
Yep.
There's bound to be a collector that wants something like that.
Yep. What signal was that on your detector? Do you remember?
Actually, I think I found that with the 705.
Oh, wow.
Because I had just met Dalton then about 3.5, 4 years ago, and when I met him, he'd had his Knox about 6 months, so he was pretty adept at it. And then the first time I took my 705 up to Georgia and found a lake in a national park that I was allowed to hunt, and then when I found my first coin underwater, I had the coil underwater, but the first time I found coins underwater in a lake, I said, that's it. My next machine is going to be waterproof. And then like 6-8 months later, Equinox came out with the 6 and the 800, and then I bought the 800. Then Dalton started teaching me how to use the 800.
Yep.
Yeah, Mason Merck metal detecting. Pat found a silver Masonic belt buckle on one of mine and Dalton's permissions, and then Charlie's found one, and then I just found one recently with Troy that I didn't know was Freemasons, and I came home and started looking at it, and we realized the little glue spot that's on the front of the belt buckle, it's the exact same glue spot that Pat has on his, and it's the Mason emblem, and you can the glue actually forms the Mason emblem, so when you compare it to one on the internet, you can see it's exact same belt buckle, just the Mason emblem fell off. But yeah, Charlie's found one, Pat's found one. Pat on that same property also found a Civil War Confederate reunion badge that you wore on your suit that has the date of the reunion. I think it was 1903, and it's a very rare thing. I can only find one of them on the internet. So Pat found that Confederate thing, and yet on the same property, Dalton found a New Hampshire National Guard button that formed right after the Civil War.
Wow.
That's really
cool. See that, NorCal? That's just cool as hell. I found a San Francisco Fireman's Badge from 1898. See, that stuff's just way too cool.
Found out the name of the fireman. That is really cool. Yeah, the probably the best historical find we have is that silver man that we found, which we have no tie to any person. Don't even know how old it is. It doesn't have any markings on it, but it's just a really cool find. I took it to a jeweler on island, and he said, I can tell you it's handmade and it's very old. He said, that's all I can tell you. There's no way. Oh yeah. And it was pure silver. So I think Seth went to grab it. It's what was in our display case, but this is our.
Oh my gosh. That's all silver.
It's solid silver.
Yeah. You can see that's handmade.
Yep.
It looks like an Aztec or Mayan.
It's Tiwanaku. So if you type in
the ancestors of the Aztecs,
Tiwanaku in the city, stuff. This is the in this. Yeah, this is the statue in the city.
You're talking ancient aliens there, Gene.
Right. Yeah, of course.
They took it from Bolivia and dropped it in St. Croix.
But we've had people tell us they think it's a like an idol, an amulet. So.
And the craziest thing to me is those people were around from like 400 BC to like, what was it, like 800 AD or something?
Yeah.
And then they died off because the Mayans, wiped them out or whatever. And their city is still there in some of the buildings and things. And they have a large stone statue of the exact same person. But the crazy
I got a chance to go to, when we did one of the Disney cruises, we went to Chichawatch? What? Anyway, it was down there where the Mayan pyramids are in Mexico.
Oh yeah.
You take the bus ride about 45 minutes to an hour into the rainforest, and you go through there, and those pyramids are there. Just absolutely Chechabian, that's what it was. Absolutely incredible. Just absolutely incredible.
And what I was saying
about hot dog digs from Canada
is the timeline doesn't match up.
Marty, yes.
If it's
Brady Bunch idol.
The timeline doesn't match up at all. If it's from around the turn of BC to AD, well, St. Croix wasn't even discovered until 1493. So how does that? I mean,
No,
that's a
no, it wasn't discovered. It wasn't discovered by the white
Right.
man or the
Yes.
English, but
Yes.
there had been people there.
But do you think that they could have gone from
where to go to?
Central America
There
to
we go.
here and back? You think that was possible?
Yes, it looks like Scott McClory. It looks like a Machu Picchu. I watch anything I can on Machu Picchu. That place fascinates me, Machu Picchu. They have that in a couple of the Ancient Alien videos, but they basically are sitting, how do you deport an illegal space alien?
I'm
You
afraid
can
to
see where the tribe of people that were there built upon the rocks that were already there, Machu Picchu.
Yep.
And you can see that the designs are two different designs. But I mean, there's 500-ton rocks that are formed together so perfectly you can't put a piece of paper between them.
Yep.
And they would have trouble doing that modern technology now. So who made these? How did they make them? When did they get there?
Yep.
But that, I'll tell you, Gene, that piece you guys just showed, that's every bit worthy of being in any museum in the world.
Oh, we've never known what to do with it. We've tried to find a few people to try to help us figure something out about it. But everybody we take it to, they're just like, no clue. Like they know what it is, but as far as the statue that it's made like,
you can't really find anything on the two.
Maybe some professor at some college department that specializes in that era, because I mean, anybody of any museum that has a section of that time frame would be honored to have that.
It is 1046.
Yep.
And Practical Ken, could that have been looted by Spanish and ended up on the island? That was my only way I could connect it, because I don't think they had a way to travel across the ocean like that, across the Caribbean Sea, because that's pretty far. So maybe when the Spanish came and wiped out everything pretty much there, and by that time they had already had a fort in St. Croix, so maybe they could have somehow ended up here.
And we found that early on in our metal detecting career.
Only had one detector.
We only had one detector at that time. I would go along and find the signals. Gene and Seth would come along and dig behind me. And I think we had Kai with us today, didn't we? We had a friend with us the day that we actually found that. And I said, this is an iffy signal, guys. I'm not sure, if it's good, you should probably dig it. But if not, it's okay. Because what I didn't know is it had a piece of iron right next to it when we pulled it out of the ground. And so it wasn't the greatest of signals. But when he pulled it out, Gene says, you can actually hear it on the video. He says, we dug up a person. I was like, what? So I turn around and he's got that little man right there. So pretty
Scott says that thing should be in a museum on loan and under the citation on loan from. I've got stuff in 3 different museums or historical art society buildings, and I'd love to have my name on one of them. But when we do Fort DeSoto down there, when our club gets permission twice a year to do Fort DeSoto at Tampa Bay, it's the fort that guarded Tampa Bay that they built right after the Spanish-American War to keep the Spanish from coming up from Cuba. And our club gets to hunt that twice a year. And anything we find, they have a representative from the fort there with us, and then he gets to review everything. And if he thinks the fort, if the museum that the fort has would like it, he takes it for the fort. And then they just built us a big shadow box in the museum that will have Suncoast Research and Recovery's finds on Fort DeSoto's grounds. So the club's getting a nice shadow box. So
that's cool.
I've got an Indian head in there. I've got a gold gilded officer's button that was brand new. That was it still had the loop on it that they put on the cardboard that they sent them to replace buttons they lost.
Oh,
so
wow.
It was a replacement button that had never been on the uniform. It still got the hook on the back. Beautiful. No color off of it. Like bright gold. And then I got a 50 cal smokeless round that they used back in the day for like they would shoot it's a smoke round, like to obscure the guys. And they said they never had one of them in there. So, and then I've got 2 3-ringers in there. They were the first 2 3-ringers I ever found. Because even though the fort was 1900, because they were an artillery battalion, they gave them the oldest rifles, which were still 3-ringer rifles from the Civil War. So when they did their training drills, they were still firing Civil War era rifles.
That's wild. Ken, nothing else was found with it in that area. I mean, other things, but
it was like a little piece of barbed wire or something.
Yeah, the piece of metal was just
Mason Merck. I am Oh wow, I didn't put my name up here.
Well, they answered that, I think, right? Somebody said you were
FL Thunder.
FL Thunder digging with Rob.
Here's
yeah,
that.
I think Bill
Here's
answered
that. Here's that silver belt buckle, and if you look at it and you see the way that glue is, if you pull up one with the Freemason where that little sword, the little curved knife goes,
Yep.
and then the little Mason's beret, the like the Shriner's beret, it's and you pull this up against Pat's, and it's the exact same, and it's got the sterling with the Hickok on the back.
That is wild.
And then Gene, you talked about your wings. There's my best World War II find.
That is awesome. Yep.
That is the combat aviator's badge. The cross in the middle of the anchor is gold, and then the wings are sterling, and then the 3 holes up top, you got a gold star every 3 missions you went on, but you can only get this if you'd been in combat. This was combat enlisted man's aviator wings.
That is something else.
Yeah,
and
that's
where you found it. Was it like in somebody's yard that had relatives from World War II?
yeah. I found that, and Troy found about the size of a $50, about twice the thickness. He found this silver coin that we thought was Chinese, and then I went and researched it, and it was a Japanese 50 yen coin from World War I era that apparently that guy brought back with him, and it was a group of small houses that one of Troy's relatives owned, and they rented out the small houses. So it was somebody that had been there 50 years ago. Thank you, Mandy. But yeah, I've only got like 4 relics from World War II. So you'd think down here we'd find a lot more because they did a lot of training down here for the war.
A lot of bases in Florida too, you know.
We have a few different beaches we go to, and we go to different beaches for different reasons. One of them is next to an old fort that was built in the 1600s. So we go there for history. Some of them just have a ton of people at them all the time. So we go there for jewelry. And one of them we go to find jewelry, but for some reason, we always find 3-ringers. How many? We found 5 there, 5 or 6.
Yeah.
And they've all hit like rocks and stuff. So we find them, they're just like, in half and stuff and messed up.
It's old lead bullets at the beach.
Old lead bullets.
But they're,
And
so they've been fired.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. So Don's got one more thing he sent to us, Rob. I'm going to try to pull it
right
up.
ahead, sir. Put it on the full screen. Go right ahead.
Yep. Oh yeah, nice.
What?
All right, let's get back over here and boom, there he is.
We have found some garden tools, but never a pitchfork.
Yeah, we have found garden tools, but not a pitchfork, Don. That's awesome.
How much does a silver idol weigh?
We don't
A
know
lot.
the exact
It's pretty
weight.
heavy.
It's heavy though. It is heavy, and silver, like it's awesome. That's a great find. I love finding just old tools. It's another thing you can kind of connect to a personal. Like on island, they have sugarcane knives that we find. They're pretty good size, and we found several of those over the years. I just found one a couple weeks ago. I love finding those things. Just old tools are really neat, but you don't dig them if you're eliminating iron. So you would never dig that pitchfork. You would never dig pocket knife. Stuff like that.
A huge lock.
Well, you know what? That's what Pat always says. Dig the iron, get it out of the ground.
Yes.
So the next time you're there, it's gone. It won't interfere with any of your other signals.
Yep. Absolutely.
I had a huge padlock I found from like the 1800s, and Dad passed up the signal because he knew it was iron. But I had the simplex that day. I couldn't tell. I just went over it. Oh, it sounds pretty good. Dug it, and it was a huge padlock. Really, really cool. Sometimes you just find good stuff.
If you watch the video where Jeremy from Digging the Carolinas is down here, he found my gold class ring that's one of my white whales because Rob didn't dig it.
Rob, we watched him yesterday, and I told Gene, I said, hey, this is that guy that dug that gold ring behind Rob.
That's how he'll be known.
Because I was in that field the other day and a 17 came up, and I said, Rob, if you were on the beach, this would 100% be a ring, a 17 on the beach. 99 out of 100 times I get a 17 on the beach, it's a ring. So, I dug it. Of course, it turned out to be Canslaw. But after getting that 17, 19 in the ground and not digging it because, it's usually Canslaw. And then freaking Jeremy pulls out that school class ring. It took care of 2, I mean, I've gotten gold rings, but I've never gotten a class ring. That's one of my bucket listers. I've never found a class ring, whether it be fairly modern or vintage. This was from the 50s. So I've been sitting in that yard for 70 years.
That is
But
wild.
yeah, I was, but then again, I didn't know this. I was telling that story to Dalton when we were driving somewhere together to go detecting, and he turned to me, and he's never told me this in 4 years. He goes, "That's all right. You finding that gold Mason's medallion behind me didn't sit well with me for a long time because he had hunted that yard about 2 weeks before me on his own, and then when we went back into that town, he says, well, I'll stop by and see if the lady will let me do that house again. He says, but I've done part of it already. So then when I got the signal, he said, Rob, I've done that part of the yard before. And Dalton doesn't usually miss signals. And I don't know if it just would have sounded bad on his knocks or he just, it was one of those where he just missed it by 2 inches swinging either side.
Yep.
But he told me that, and I didn't know that. He goes, yeah, that didn't sit well with me for a long time.
Yep.
And that's okay because Troy felt the same way when he'd swung over where Dalton got the gold coin, and Troy was right there. And they invited me that day, but my knees hurt too. I just come back from Missouri. My knees hurt. So I didn't go to that park. And we had found Indians in that park. And there's actually a marker there that says that Teddy Roosevelt and the Rough Riders camped there before they went to Cuba for the Spanish-American War. And we pulled numerous Indians, 1909, 1910 Wheaties, harmonica reeds. I mean, and then Dalton says that the gold coin, he found that US $5 gold coin, and it rang in as an Indian. And Troy was just beside himself when Dalton pulled that out because he had just done that area.
Yep.
So it happens to us all,
Oh yeah, for sure. Yeah, without a doubt. I mean, like he said, I passed on that lock, but I remember hearing it. But I said, I've dug so much that day. It was towards the end of the day, and I was just going along trying to find good signals at the end of the day. Just try to end on some good notes.
You do. At the end of the day, there's sometimes you just go, nope, I'm tired. I'm not digging that. I want to. We don't have much time left. I want to find the good signals, and we all do that too.
Yep, and we can go back there anytime. So I wasn't worried about not digging it right. But he had the simplex, and it just sounded good. I mean, nothing against the simplex at all. We love the simplex, but we call it the iron rake because when you come through, iron sounds fantastic on it. It really does. It sounds great. So you dig all the iron out with the simplex, and then you can.
Because on the Legend, it's like two extremes. On the simplex, it's very difficult to tell when it's iron. On the Legend, you don't even hear it. It doesn't even make a noise. That's what I found. Like Dad would be like, "What's the signal?" And I'd be like, "There's no signal there." And he digs it, it's a nail or it's a piece of iron. I don't hear it at all. And so that's a big difference. And it was tough for me that day because I dug up countless pieces of iron.
Yeah. Today you should ask him about his day at the beach. Today he what you were experiencing. You're like, oh no, 17. That's going to be aluminum, right? It's going to be Canslaw. So that's basically what he dug up at the beach today. But every time it was okay. This is going to be a ring.
Yep.
You think that way?
Honestly, probably 7 or 8 out of 10 times a solid 17 that doesn't move on the nocks is a ring. Sometimes they're costume, but sometimes they're silver. And if you get things like a solid 9 or a solid 10 that doesn't grunt on the beach, you're going to dig that, but you don't pay any attention to them in the dirt. I mean, because it's either going to be a nail or Canslaw.
Yep.
Everybody, Marty's talking about metal AF is talking about the 1852 seed that he found, and it was a bucket lister for it. And then Jason from BC Treasure, I just find a bucket and I get excited.
Yeah, I saw that.
I haven't found the Knox
yet, by the way.
Is the Knox 600 easy to use? Jim, I'll be honest with you. I consider myself a pretty intelligent person with a college degree, but I could not get the hang of the Knox 800 when I got it. And I would go meet Dalton, and I'd get out of the truck, and he'd go, why do you have your 705? I go, I don't understand the Knox, Dalton. I said, I think I wasted $1,000. I said, it might just be the biggest mistake in my short metal detecting career. And he was, to Dalton's credit, he was so patient trying to teach me that machine. And now that I've been using it for almost 4 years, when Shane came down 2 weeks ago and we went and did Clearwater Beach and I gave him the Knox and I pulled out the old 705 and dusted it off, I couldn't remember any of the signals on the 705.
That's me too.
I mean, I'm sure I was probably in Park 1 doing the beach, but I didn't know how to get over to Beach 1. So, but Jim, it's like anything. when I got to work, when I got hired by Disney, when you find out all this information about Disney, you find out that the property that Disney owns is the same size as the city of San Francisco. And you could imagine how hard it would be to learn to drive in San Francisco. How many people there are? I mean, for the first 6 months I drove to work, I'd get lost all the time. And I'd show up late and they're like, why are you late? I go, I couldn't find the right road to come on. I just couldn't remember it because I was working 2 days a week. So in my 5 days, and then one day, about 8 months, I was just driving around and finally things started to click and I figured out where I was going and I started getting the property. And now I can drive over there now and I can just weave in and out of places that people don't know. But it was the same with the Knox. Once you got it down, it just made it so much easier to use, Jim.
Yeah, he said the reason why he's asking is because he bought one for $300 for a 15-year-old kid. Listen, that is a fantastic buy. That's the machine that I have is the 600. The guy I was buying it from, I had actually kind of been willing to bite the bullet and get the 800. And he said, honestly, unless you're going to be looking for like gold nuggets, he said, you don't need the 800. The 600 will do everything that the 800 does. And I have found
I was an adamant fan of the 800. I mean, I actually did. People would go on the live streams and I'd say, listen, get the 800 over the 600. And then when my 800 got wet for the third time and I had to send it in, and that was during COVID, and they said, I'm sorry, we can't give you, it could be 2 weeks, it could be 4 months. We don't have any control pods in stock. We're waiting on them from Malaysia. And I'm like, listen, I can't be 4 months without a machine. So I went and bought the Knox 600. I said, well, it's kind of stupid having two 800s. I'm going to eventually have the 800 back. I don't need two 800s. Might as well save the $200 or $300 and get the 600. And then I found that my channel sponsor now, who I met then, Detector Warehouse out of Texas, they were one of the people running the Mind Lab special where if you bought the 600, they threw the wireless headphones in for free.
Yep.
So I'm like, how can I pass up this deal? So I got the 600, and then do we all remember Jason from the Detecting Smiths?
Yeah.
I helped him work out a deal with another channel where he got his Knox from somebody that couldn't use it anymore. So Jason, to thank me, sent me the was it the Abrams book, the guy that wrote the yellow book on the Knox?
Oh, Savage, wasn't it?
Yeah, Savage, Andy Savage that wrote the yellow book. So
Yep.
Jason sent me that as a thank you gift. And when I poured over the yellow book, it explained that the 600 has the same 5 frequencies the 800 does. You just can't use 20 and 40 separately.
Yep.
So when you're in all metal or you're in multi-frequency mode with the 600, it is no different than the 800. They set up all 5 frequencies the exact same in both machines. And it doesn't go any deeper. The 800, they both have the same power.
Yep.
It's just that if you wanted to go gold flake hunting, you could put the 800 in 20 or 40 hertz separately, which you just can't do with the 600. And I was like, I don't need 2 of those to do the same thing. So yeah. And then when Cynthia started looking for a machine, I completely did a 180. And I said, Cynthia, the 600 will do everything the 800 will do if you're not looking for gold. Gene, the same thing the guy told you. And,
Yep.
and I think you're right.
And this is a guy that I was buying it from. So he was telling me to go cheaper. So I was like, okay. I mean, I trusted that gave, some trust there because normally, the guy's going to say, buy the more expensive thing, right? But no, he said, you don't need the 800 if you're not looking for like gold.
Yeah, that's a great deal, Jim. Good evening, Bold Lion. Good evening, Hunter.
Yep. Good evening. Good to see you guys. I hate to say it, but we're about to wrap up because it's after 11. So these two need to get in bed. They got school tomorrow. So
Yep.
Any last words, guys?
Thank you.
Yeah.
Have a good night.
Thank you, guys. Rob, hopefully we'll get to be able to, dig again. This kid's going off to college, in the fall.
No kidding.
So
Where are you going, Gene?
I'm going to Tennessee,
not the University of Tennessee, but
yet Nashville. Well,
Welch. It's just outside of Nashville. Welch College. It's in Gallatin, Tennessee.
Is it a Christian college?
Yes. Yeah, it's actually a school
my
where
buddy Steve, who's very, very Christian. I know, why is he hanging around with me? But anyway, both his daughters went to Christian colleges. Oh man, and one of them was in Tennessee. I can't remember the name of it, but yeah, both his daughters went to Christian colleges.
Awesome. Rob, thank you so much for being up here. We really appreciate it. Thank you, everybody, for sharing. Don, for sharing your pictures with us, sharing your stories. We really appreciate it, everybody. Next week, Shane should be back. So it'll be back over at Ohio River History. But awesome stream tonight, guys. Really enjoyed it. And we'll see you all a little bit later.
Thanks for letting me come up, Gene.
You've got one for Monday Digs this week, Rob?
Yeah, it's not done yet, but I have one.
Ours isn't done yet either. So,
Alrighty, guys. Thanks, Gene.
See you later. Have a good night, everybody.